Welcome aboard The Nichole Show with host Nichole Hamilton. Our task is to educate, empower, and change lives. Join us for stories of resilience and rebirth. Honest talks that inspire and challenge you. Are you ready to make a move? It begins now. Welcome back, guys, to the podcast, The Nichole Show, where we actually get to dive deep behind the scenes of what a human being looks like behind the coaching world, really dive deep into all the struggles that I've been through, but also getting somebody else's perspective. And in this beautiful chat that we have going today, I have my dear friend, Juliet Lever. I met her through this holistic world over 10 years ago now, which is a pure blessing. Juliet Lever is a beautiful author, coach, teacher, trainer, and honestly, through this work of healing, I have met the most beautiful people that, fill my heart full of love, and I have this amazing support network. So without further ado, Juliet gets to ask me any questions to I really want to shed the masks here. We have a certain persona online. You feel free to share anything about yourself as well in this chat. It's just really organic and authentic. But sometimes as a coach, just even as a human being, we feel like we have to have this mask on and present in certain ways. And so this is the time where, I get to be a little uncomfortable, but yeah, you can challenge me, ask me anything. And hopefully this lands on ears that so need to hear this stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Well, first of all, I want to say how beautiful it is. And you're exactly right. It's 10 years ago last month that we first met in the hypnotherapy training. And if I can just share, I remember meeting you and seeing this woman that I just couldn't almost believe how you were doing as many things as you were. At the time, you had your young boys and you were running your beauty business as well. You were studying all the things. You were still married. You seemed like you had just so many things on the go. And yet you always wanted more, and you were so hungry for growing and learning. And I remember one of the things that I always remember when I think about you was, for you, when you go into trance, your wiggle. And I remembered because you'd be sitting in the classroom and you'd be like, like there's having all of these shifts as you were going into trance. And it was actually a really beautiful thing for me to witness. And it actually helped me so much because I'd come from this sort of rigid corporate masculine world where it was like, no, you stay composed and you hold your body. And there was this stiffness in my body. And seeing you do that, it allowed me to kind of go like, what does it feel like to soften and have those shifts, not only in my mind and my emotions, but in my body as well. And so, yeah, that's always a fond memory I have, is your trance wiggle. You still do that? Do you still do that?
Yeah, I do. I like, even you just reminiscing, I feel it. It's my big yes too. It's my soul's yes. And so when I relax and really get into my body, straight away, that's my tingle. It's led me into beautiful places, and it's a way that I always drop into almost my heart, my body, when I'm holding space for whatever. So I thank you for that reminder. I do. I love it.
What did you think about me when we first met?
I remember us talking about it, I think back then as well. It's being at preschool again and the sandbox, and you just know your person before you met them. And there were some other beautiful women in that group. It's not that. And I did have to unpack some of it. For some reason, us women kind of judge others sometimes, but there was just a genuine connection. And I was like, she's going to be my friend.
I thought that too. I was like, I want to be friends with her.
Yeah, it was just, but it was a genuine, it wasn't I could just feel that connection. And we did, we actually studied Reiki together. We caught up quite a lot. I remember
we did an NLP together too in November that year.
NLP. Yeah. You became my Reiki master. We did a lot of things together in that very short period of time. You and Paul helped officiate with our wedding. You did this beautiful trance, and you've just been a really profound part of my life in this energetic healing world. You co-hosted healings with me on other people. It's just, yeah, it was a soul sister meeting. And that's why I do have a lot of women that reach out and say, how do you make friends at that age? How do you find a circle? Because if you've pulled away from, family or, childhood friends, how do you do that? And I honestly believe I have met the most beautiful humans that do want more, that do desire to come from their heart in these spaces and places. So yeah,
And
I
I
really do love and adore you, by the way. So
Me too. And I think we live on opposite ends of Adelaide
we
and
do.
we have, busy lives. But when we do come together, it's like that. I think what's so beautiful about friendships is, for me, a high importance in friendship is like not putting expectations or pressure on one another. I think in the past I've had friendships where it's been like, oh well, you have to catch up this many times, or you're not a good friend, and da, 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 da. And for me, one of my highest values in friendship is the freedom to let the person be who they want to be. And
Mm,
when you have those times, it's like no time has passed, and you just connect on that soul understanding level as well. And yeah, I think what you were saying too, don't you think you can access those deeper connections and friendships when you can access that in yourself as well. and
correct.
and I want to ask you,
Correct.
what for you over this last sort of 10 years that we've known each other, what's been something for you that has really shown you your relationship with yourself has gone to another level, or that you've had
Mm.
this deeper sense within yourself? What comes up for you around that?
I think it's honestly that deep vulnerability of, like I said, shedding those masks. Because if I can't be comfortable and uncomfortable being authentically who I am, then how do I expect any of those other connections to be authentic
Yeah.
and love me for just who I am?
Yeah.
And that's the scariest fucking thing, to actually rock up and show somebody the light and the dark.
Yeah.
But I think in this place and space, we honestly meet people that come from their heart. They try and get out of their head. They try not to judge, because we are so, programmed. And so those relationships organically created. They weren't a want or a people pleaser, mask or anything like that. And the deepening of it, those deepening, connections and communications in those friendships.
And so
Because
then how do you balance, I love asking questions, right? So then
yeah,
how do you balance not having the mask, like being vulnerable, but also being in a position of leadership?
mm,
Because for me, like I'm teaching NLP, and I went through a time, I'd say in my first couple of years of teaching, where I had this sort of pressure on myself of like, I need to be a certain way so that people will really trust that, what I'm saying. And then I was like, well, hang on, walk the walk, talk the talk, be human. And when I let
mm,
myself shift that, it's like I could open up to feeling relaxed doing what I'm doing, but also people could see more that there's no pedestaling of, you don't have to be this quote unquote perfect person. But how do you balance that, and how do you know kind of like the sharing
um,
yourself and being vulnerable, but also being professional and being in a position of leadership?
I think it's through coaches who've led me with vulnerability, who help me show up that way. But I mean, I've been on social media for more than 10 years. Like, I love being behind a camera. And it's great when I'm upbeat and I'm doing a walk and I'm talking or sharing something profound that's dropped in. But honestly, it's the feedback that I get when I do a quick mini live or a vulnerability share about Aurora, me losing my shit and she's in dog poo, or me, doing my ADHD diagnosis one. The amount of shares and comments that come through and DMs when I'm
Yes.
deeply vulnerable about the shit that's really happening in my life shows me the feedback that that's what humans need. And
Yeah.
that's why I really wanted to create this podcast, because it's not all love and light. Yes, the healing journey can be beautiful and profound, and the connections, but in the honesty, and it's something that I butt up against, and I'm sure you do as well. You have to keep going. It's like, oh fuck, like I'm
Yeah.
going through a little transition now too.
Yeah.
But as soon as I articulate it, as soon as I say it out loud and say, hey, I actually have been struggling, and that's when the healing starts.
Yeah.
And so I did the same. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm a teacher, I'm a coach, I'm, a mom, I've got a mask, I've got to have it all together. Well, actually, no, I don't. And my kids as well, the feedback and the beautiful humans that I'm raising are better and feel safer because of the honesty, integrity, and authenticity that I show them.
Mm,
And obviously there's different levels. You don't have to tell your kids everything, but
what
if
a
you
gift.
say to them, hey, I've struggled with this, or I've had a bad day, and this is what's made me feel better.
Yeah.
That in itself has really helped me, because I think in our years our parents just told us to kind of run, like, off you go, big kids, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And that caused more anxiety because I didn't know. And
Yeah,
so
and
if
you
I
thought your parents just had it all figured out, and then you become an adult and you're like, hang on, what? Why don't I have figured it out, right? But
correct.
I watched one of your videos where I think you were doing one of those shares. Oh, sorry. And you said something about a conversation you'd had with one of your children of like, you know what? I could have handled that better. And
Mm.
I just thought, oh, that's the kind of parenting and that's the kind of even leadership that I think is so needed in the world today. And it's starting to pop up more and more. But yeah, there's still, a reality where a lot of people just seem like they've got it all together, but a lot of
Well,
people.
people see it as a weakness, you know. I mean, especially when, diving into the coaching world, it was a little confronting for me. I had a coach that, was, up here and then started doing these vulnerability posts. And there was some, conversations about whether that's, the coach and leader. And I was like, do you know what? I actually like the softer side. I love the vulnerability and that is a leading by example. Like,
Yeah.
you can be a human being and show this growth and show this journey
Yeah.
because you're not the right teacher and human for everybody. Like we said, we've got a connection, but if we put it out there and we're planting the seeds and we're showing up each day with everything that we've got, then that's all we can really do.
It's so funny. Yesterday, like we launched a program, and the first call of the program happened to be at the exact same time that I was flying home from interstate. And I was like, oh, maybe I can try to get on the Wi-Fi on the plane so that I can be a part of the call. And I got on the plane, and they're like, nope, no Wi-Fi on this plane trip from Gold Coast to Adelaide. And so I was on the plane, and I couldn't control anything. I couldn't access anything. I couldn't be a part of it. And it felt like there was like a part of me that was dying, not being able to be there. And to just totally surrender, trust my man, trust Paul to run it without me, trust my team to support Paul. And for me to literally be so like quote unquote powerless in that moment, I felt like there was like a part of me dying. And I got my journal out and I'm like, what is going on in my nervous system right now? And I
Yeah.
realized like part of me was dying, and it was the part of me that was like the micromanaging control freak that has to be across everything. And I was like, oh, once I realized that, it was actually like it could shift into this playful energy of like, oh, I see you, that old part that's trying to do those things. And you know
Mm.
what? You're not needed anymore. And it was this profound thing that I was, one of my favorite reframes is like, what's actually perfect about this that I haven't realized yet? And it was this perfect
Mm.
moment. And like what you said, like we can have this thing, but in business, sometimes we want to like control things or we want to have things be a certain way, and that like letting go. And so I want to ask you, because you're
Mm.
someone that I see, you're an amazing mother. You're deeply in tune with your feminine side. And then you're this badass, go getter, action taker, businesswoman, strong masculine drive, like making the money, doing the things, right? How do you balance, and what's your relationship with that masculine and feminine?
Wow, that's a good one. It's a good lead in because honestly, the last month has been a huge struggle for me. Like
Yeah.
my business has been on the up and up for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years in creating the kids coach and the different modalities and the growth and from going from one-on-one coaching to training like you guys, run like multiple students in a class. And honestly, I have been in masculine for a very long time, which has, also played on Abby and I's relationship because I'm better in my feminine. And I literally hit burnout, like, and I'm learning a little bit about my diagnosis and ADHD, like why I love that masculine, because in that drive, in that place of I can handle anything, I'm actually getting dopamine hits as well, like that kind of anxiety to control, like that controller comes up and I'm in that place. When I'm in flow, like, doing my pole dancing, doing my mothering, doing different things, that's when my feminine really drops in. Date nights with Abby, doing different things, different, games and play, that's beautiful. But I have really noticed the shift and I've come out of a little bit of a funk with my health and everything else. I'm like, whoa, it's really time to drop into full feminine, I think. Like, you don't have to have that, money attachment, that figure, that number. I'm really playing in the flow of
Yeah.
calling in and the energetics. And that's what my soul is craving at the moment, the full nurturing part of the business. So some shifts need to happen, asking for help to receive. So, reminder of that. So, yeah, I think it's a learning curve for me to play in the feminine right now.
Do you, I
So
don't know, like I don't want to project onto you, but sometimes does it feel scary because it's like being in that masculine is what's built things to here. It's like that saying of what got you here won't get you there. Do you feel
yeah.
like this next chapter is okay now? How can you continue growing but be in that feminine and be in that softness and that?
Yeah, it is scary because it's everything I've known. And, I think also probably, the masculine, the dominant side of me, really kicked in, over 10 years ago when I went through my divorce
Yeah.
because I had to be the protector. I had to have the money and blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
also it kicked back in when Abby had Aurora, like
Yeah.
I was the dad.
Yeah.
Like, so there's been multiple levels of like, you're the masculine, but I don't act, although my body loves it on some things, like I love that my soul does not. My
Yeah.
soul is like, you're fucking done.
Yeah.
Like, you're done and you're masculine
I
right
just want
now.
to say we're so mirrors for each other in this conversation. Everything you're saying, I'm like, oh, yes, I can see that and feel that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Just it's time to play and
Mm.
really surrender, which again is not a normal part of me. Like, I like to micromanage. I like to know everything is and
Yes.
organize and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And now it's like, no, let's just whatever is right for me will come through. Whatever is deserving, what all the energy I've put out will come back, and playing in that realm
Yeah.
and nurturing what's right for my body at the moment is going to be the best thing, and then business will come. And I do, I am a part of the new container, which I'm super excited. I love working with Evolve and Relaunch and you guys, Paul
And
and,
we
and
love having
yourself.
you in it. I mean, you've got so much wisdom. And I think I was saying just before we started recording, like, and actually, a couple of people that haven't even studied with us, a couple of people who have been in the coaching industry for quite a long time are in this program too. And I've said, just like to you, like, could you do this on your own? Yes, probably, definitely.
100%.
Do you know, are you, switched on? You know the stuff, you're smart, yes. But how would it feel to be in an environment where people want to see you win, where you can be nurtured, where you can come and fill your cup? And
Yeah,
that's
the
what,
accountability and the love and just the reminders. Like we always, we know what we know and then we forget what we know.
yeah,
And so the reminder of like yesterday, Paul's one was like, your business is a reflection of you. And at the moment, I'm empty. So my business is feeling empty. Like, I can't put any more love and energy into it if I'm not starting with my actual physical body.
yeah.
And so some beautiful reminders. And yes, can I do it by myself? Yeah, I've done it by myself, but is it much better to do it with that team? Fuck yes. Like, having that, chat and those people to bounce things off and be a support system. A hundred
I love this. Can
percent.
I just say, like, this version of you is just so beautiful and like soft and marshmallowy. I'm gonna be like teary. It's so nice. And it's so
Oh,
beautiful because I think we have been in each other's worlds and seen so many versions of ourselves as we've evolved over these 10 years. It's just, yeah, it's really nice. One question I had, I was like meditating this morning and I was thinking, okay, what do I want to ask Nick? And one of the things I'd love to know is for you, like, in your in your I guess in your business,
yes.
when you look over your journey, what is one of the things that stands out to you as like, oh my gosh, I did that? Like one of those
Mhm.
moments that was like a pinch me moment for you.
I honestly believe creating the kids coach certification, like changing from a one-on-one coach. I had my beauty business when you met me.
Yeah.
I then added energetics to it and I changed the business name, and then I went into hypnosis and I had my one-on-one clients. In that time, business was up and down. I had multiple jobs, like, being like, not being married and having, an income. So by changing my business and really following my passion to bring everything that I know to kids and families is my ultimate. And to have created my own certification program, which, again, as I said, I feel like I need some rejigs with my business, but that I'm so goddamn proud of. And so I love, like, it's working. Like, I've got some 130 kids coaches across Australia,
It's
so I
huge.
know that program is my love and my soul. So coming back to what works and what loves, and that really is my pinch me moment. Like, how did I even create that?
And so that's how many coaches, but then how many people they're working with? Have you done the
Correct.
numbers on the ripple
I have
effect?
no idea.
What would you guess? Like you say, if each of those people has 20 clients, that's
Yeah,
like thousands of kids'
thousands of
lives
kids,
are changing.
thousands of kids, and even probably thousands that I've worked with over the 10 years. Like when I add up, the one-on-one sessions and the ones that have stuck around for years, thousands of hours of sessions that have been really profound for those kids, and workshops and trainings and different things. Yeah, every single kids coach is doing it, their own way with their own love, their own little niche.
So when
But
you gonna help you write your book? Where are you going to write your book?
That's my actually, you know what? That is my next bit. You know,
I said that to Paul. I'm like, I hope Nick comes on my writing retreat because I want to.
well, when is it?
I
Yes,
want to
let's
hang
plug,
out with
let's
you
plug that. When
and
is
help
your
your
writing
book
retreat?
come into the world. It's in early August, so it's a couple of months
100%.
away.
Well, let's manifest
I'll
it
send you
because
some details, but I want to see you. You've got such an epic story, and there's so many chapters of your life that I think will really reach different parts of people as well. So
I was hoping some of these podcasts would be like little chapters. So get my VA to kind
well, sorry, you could actually
like,
transcribe and get a heap. You can just get an app to do it, and pull out some
so
of the
yeah,
best bits.
I'm excited. But yes, to put it down, and one of my other coaches, you know, so this is another, you know, drop-in reminder. My other coach, Trav Bell, the other day said, you need to write a book. Like, you know, you write those chapters. It's so healing to do. And I guess for me, you know, my using my words and my videos and my content is a healing process for me. But yeah, to actually put it on
Do it
paper.
as an audiobook as well, so then people can
Correct.
hear your voice. Have you thought of any titles? What would you call it if you could?
Well, I have two ideas, honestly, for a book. So one would be like my full life story, like an autobiography through sobriety and motherhood and the way that this healing has really changed my journey. And the other one I really did want to write as well is like a bit like your NLP book, and we'll plug it, guys. So if you want any of these resources we're talking about, they'll be in the links underneath, about the sessions and almost like case studies, a bit like Esther Perel, where I write down, this is this kid, this is this family, these are the things that we did, and then these are the results we got, and then hey, blah blah blah. So that's, you know, because I teach those sessions, I teach those case studies in my program, but having a little book that says, oh my god, you know, a teenager of this age with this is
what's possible for people, and it will be such a guide for parents and coaches as well. So that would be beautiful.
So two ideas, but I have to sit with what one comes first, the chicken or the egg.
Yeah, or both. You never know. You never know. So,
are there any questions that you've always wanted to challenge me on, or any situations that we've, you know, been in? You know, I think that.
What's your number one form of self-sabotage?
Now it's Netflix, like, you know, zoning, or actually no, reality TV. Like I don't Netflix.
What do you watch? What do you watch?
Oh my God. I've been watching Below Deck. It's like you watch a captain and a team of stewardess on like a super yacht, and they film the whole thing, and then they have these crazy clients that have got millions of dollars, and they're idiots, and they have to serve these people for a few days. But for me,
but hang on, what is it about that you like? What do you think it is actually about that's
any reality TV kind of draws me in, because I get entranced into their drama and get entranced into their stuff, which is not mine. And it's a way that my brain shuts off. So, you know, before it was, you know, drugs and alcohol and even food. For a long time after getting sober, I put on a lot of weight. And now those three things, and it has been work before, don't get me wrong, I have gone full into like work mode, which can be self-sabotage as well. But at the moment, if I'm doing something, it's zoning out on that reality TV, but it doesn't serve me because my dreams get all like skewed up and I'm not motivated. So it's not it's a guilty pleasure, but I've been doing it too much over the last month or so.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Now
I've reset. I reset today, guys. I did my Pilates. I've been drinking my water. I did my sauna and my ice bath, and I'm accountable to my body at the moment. And feeling good. And I feel heaps better this morning already, even though my voice is still a little croaky, guys, but I do feel a lot better.
For you then, what do you see then as like your vision in your life and in your business, say for the next 12 months? If you look a year down from now, how do you want to be feeling? What do you want to be experiencing? Like what's the vision if you could wave a magic wand?
Hey everyone, Nichole here, and I hope you're enjoying today's episode. I just want to take a quick moment to talk to you all. If you're finding value in our conversations and loving the raw, honest dialogues we're having here, I've got a small favor to ask. This podcast is a passion project for me, and there's nothing I love more than bringing these stories and insights to you. So if you haven't already, would you consider subscribing to our show and leaving a review? It's completely free and it doesn't take much time, but it really helps us in two big ways. It's getting the podcast in front of more listeners, which keeps our community growing. It helps us attract more amazing guests, which means we give you more value in the episodes we bring to you. Just hit that subscribe button, drop us a review, and let's keep these conversations flowing. Now let's dive right back into our episode, and thanks so much for being a part of the Nichole's show. Yeah. I feel that, nurturing retreats is coming up more in my world. So, already hosted a parent and kids retreat this year.
Have you a Bali retreat coming up?
Bali retreat's been pushed out to July, but yes, we have a Bali one going with a beautiful fellow coach of mine as well. Awesome. I've got my kids coaches retreat in September, but doing some more in-person stuff for me, the energetics of connection is really important. Yeah. And I've called in some more one-on-one kids actual sessions because I got felt a little distant, sitting behind the screen and teaching a lot of programs, getting back into the connection part of it, which I think, again, is the energetics and the feminine really wanting to come through. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's where business is going to be really focused on the workshops and in-person events that'll be happening over the next 12 months.
Awesome. I don't know. Have I challenged you enough? You want me to challenge you more? Do you want to challenge me? How does this work? What do you?
I just love thinking about, the connections and the different things that you and I have been through. And I just wanted to mention, it just keeps, popping into my mind. Do you remember the time that we sat just outside of like Rundle Mall and holding hands and staring and doing like some breath and energy, and people were walking past? It was when we first had learnt Reiki. And you were still, I think you hadn't quit yet your corporate role. And I think you were on a lunch break and I met you in town. Do you remember that?
Oh, I'm getting like flickers of it, of just
so
not
we
caring
sat,
what other people thought, and just
we were sitting literally in a Segway and just, right in the middle of but between North Terrace and Rundle Mall, I'm pretty sure, something like that. And we just sat and we breathed and that soul connection. And I just remember, feeling that, that love and that connection. And I just know that when like-minded souls connect on that deeper level, the energy and the love, goes out. And I feel like that's almost like what's happening now as well, like that connection and that love of, where this frequency goes, whoever's ears it drops on, that is so beautiful. And I just wanted to, I don't know if you remember that, but it was a really profound experience for me and it's now one of my favorite things to do is eye gazing and connection and breath with the people that I genuinely love. Yeah. And it's something that I have replicated with people that I've met in other workshops and retreats. Like I've asked to eye gaze and connect into their energy, and it's such an intimate, beautiful thing to share with another human being.
Just something that space of unconditional love, and that, as we sort of do in the evolved state, just seeing that person for who they are, beneath all the layers, beneath all the story, beneath all the fears, and just having that human to human, I got you, I see you, I feel you, I'm present with you, I'm rooting for you and cheering for you. I think although I don't remember that specific moment, but I think I was in quite a bit of fight or flight during that time.
100%. There was a lot of changes in your life happening right at that stage, for sure.
But you definitely were someone that showed me it's possible to be self-employed and to take that leap. And it was so scary. It was my comfort zone. I'd ended my marriage, and then it was leaving a corporate job I'd been in for 6 years, and that was my family. I had really strong friendships and social connections there, and it was detaching from all the old and creating new connections and new depth of real connections, not just connecting because you work together, which was a very different type of connection. So thank you. And now that you're telling me, I'm well, I'm sure I could get that. But there's so many. I remember doing Kundalini yoga with you in the Botanic Gardens as well, and you coming to a lot of my first events and workshops. And I think
that popped up in my memories. I think it was 9 years ago, and I don't know where it was. It was in this old building in town somewhere, and you held your first relaunch. Yes. That was 9 years ago.
Highest potential. That was my
yes, discover your highest potential.
Event. And there was a lot of badass women in that photo. That was a great event. But it's been so cool. I think your business can be a vehicle for helping you discover yourself and as well. And yeah, that's what it's been for me. It's just been like this place to go, okay, who am I now and what do I want to do now? And I think for you as well, like you've in your iterations of your business and how it has evolved and changed, and you've just really tuned into, okay, what is being called through me and what are your unique gifts, and also what are your gifts that cross over. And I just think you hold that authentic conscious parenting role so beautifully. And then, with your background, I mean, every beauty therapist and hairdresser is an unpaid counselor anyway, because you just
100%.
meet so many people. You get so good at tuning into people's energy and reading where they're at as well. So yeah, it's really cool to just see where you're at, and I'm excited for the next chapter for you. And that was a nice pun on writing your book as well.
Yeah, I do.
Beautiful.
Look, I've got I actually have the front of my book. One of my coaches a while ago told me that I had to like print off and
Yes.
make a cover for it. It's up in my
Send me a
thing.
photo or show me.
I
Show
will.
me.
I will.
Oh yeah,
I don't
send
know
a
if I
photo.
can.
Oh, it's a podcast, isn't it? People can't see, but if
Yeah.
people are watching it. But I would have to say for me, one of the proudest like pinch me moments is actually not even writing my own books. It was about 2 months ago when I got the book written by one of the women who'd come to my writers retreat last year, and she's been in my writing group 3 years now, in my book writing group. And it was getting her book, and it's called Writing Waves, and it was about her son who died on a farming accident in his late 20s. And
Oh,
knowing how much came up for her in the journey of writing the book, when I got her signed book in my post letterbox, I like just wept. I cried for like 10 minutes straight because of
oh,
how meaningful I knew it was for her, but also just how honored I felt to be able to be of service to help her get that out. And it's so healing and therapeutic. It's such a,
mm.
but his legacy now lives on through that, and it's going to help other people who are going through tough times. So I just think it's so much more than a book. Like, does the world need more books? No. There's so many books. I think there's like a million new books that get written and published every year. There's so many.
Is there?
But
Oh,
does
yeah. But
someone
I love supporting other
but
people.
does
Like one of
someone need your book? Does someone need your message? Yes. And
a
for
hundred
them to
percent.
take a little piece of you home with them in that written form, anytime they need to tune into you, they can just pick it up and they can get access to that. And it's yeah, I think that's going to be such a cool piece of your
Oh my God,
journey.
Paul needs to do it like a hypnotic audiobook. Like I would pay for that.
I know Paul needs to do so many
Just
books. We
just
just
a
need to
little
take
doubt, like just a hypnotic rant, just an audiobook.
We
Yeah,
just
he
need to
can
take a
just do it
little
on
bit
the
of time off.
fly.
So yeah, we've given ourselves December, January off after the mastermind finishes. So we've got the next 6 months, and then we've given ourselves a couple of months off because it's his 40th, and it will be interesting to see what bubbles up with not being in all the doing, and see what comes
Mm.
out. But he has got hundreds of books in him, so yeah, I'm sure that'll come.
I love that. I love that. Well, yeah, I thank you so much for like asking me questions and taking me on a little journey because it literally is like a little mini therapy session for me because I get to go down memory lane and remember. And thank you for the beautiful reflections on some of the parts of me that I sometimes forget.
Mm.
As I said, like, it's not always a plug. And obviously you can, do your own healing and listen to podcasts like this for free. That's another reason that I put it out. But Juliet, you've got your own podcast as well. These guys are amazing. I've studied with them over so many different years. And I highly recommend that if you're, feeling a little lost or you're feeling like you need something, like there are so many beautiful coaches and teachers out there and there's so much stuff for free, like
Yeah.
tap into someone's podcast. And if we're not the right people as well, we don't hold that. Like we know hundreds, if not, well, probably thousands, like if we actually really counted, of coaches and therapists and teachers in this world, and we quite fine to answer questions and share. So I
Mm.
hope that this little journey took you, yeah, showed you some of the things behind the scenes. Is there anything else that is in your heart that you wanted to share before we wrap it up? Is there any drop in or anything that just, you feel?
I feel like, I mean, anyone listening, just be true to you, and if you don't know what that means, find that, because
Yeah.
there's so much confusion, I think, in the head. And one of the best things I can recommend is, you know, whatever chaos, whatever thoughts, whatever stresses are going on in your life, just drop down and even just ask, you know, well, what does your heart know to be true about that? Or what is your heart telling you? And you'll get a different answer, you'll get a different feeling. And for me, listening to that, my heart over my head, has just been the best journey. The head is really useful, but not to run everything. So that's
Correct.
what's dropping in. And I feel like
Mm.
you are just the embodiment of that heart. Like when I see you and I feel your aura and your energy, it's just this big heart. Actually, one memory that comes to mind for me is I remember at our Reiki Masters retreat, it was like the Sunday morning, I think, and I'd been like serving and giving and doing food and supporting Paul and all of that, and I'd been like round the clock, and I just lay down for a moment, and you just put your arms around me and you cuddled me, and you were just doing like circles on my arm, like what a mum would do. And I just had this moment where I felt like I just melted. I just was like, oh, and it was this touch that you just had that was just so nurturing and beautiful. And I feel like that's what you give people, especially when you're like in that feminine. It's just like that's what it feels like to be in your presence. And that's so magnetic and it's so healing
Mm,
without
thank
all the
you.
like masculine do strategies. It can be that simple and instinctive to you as well. So I don't know. That's what dropped in.
Oh, no, thank you. And that's beautiful. And you know what? You just reminded me, I think from doing this work, and being in those places, I do remember, you know, being at that retreat and, not only, getting hugs and cuddles from, you guys and other men that were there without it being in a sexual way. Like, I think you and I even did it in a few courses, just holding each other's hand. It's something that we're not taught. We're taught like, oh, that's for your intimate partner. You're not meant to. But human beings need affection and touch and cuddles. We need like eight hugs a day, like to actually for our nervous system to feel safe and loved and nurtured. And how many people are actually even getting 8 hugs a day?
Not many.
And
No.
that includes our kids as well. I watched another a thing as well and saying like even 14 hugs are better for your child's nervous system, no matter what age they are.
Mm,
And it's something that if your family's not used to, or you're, been through trauma or whatever, you maybe don't like, but your actual body needs it. And I do. I think that was one of the things. Like I can hold hands with any woman, any guy, and touch and and tickle or whatever else if it feels, permission and consent, guys. But if it feels right to be that way, like that beautiful intimacy is I think honestly what's lacking
yeah.
in society. So thank you for
Yeah.
that reminder. Get out there and hug people, guys. That's our
Get your
that's our
14
little
hugs.
14 hugs a day. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much. It was so beautiful to have this conversation. I really
It was
appreciate
really
it.
good. We went on many tangents, but yeah, I hope this lands in your heart as we've wanted it to. And yeah, we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.